Vivian. I'm joined by Abe and Charlie Medeiros. Welcome to the Redox Cinema Podcast. And for our viewers and listeners, we hope you guys are doing well. And for this episode, we got a review of the surprisingly Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Wow, I thought I was about to say Hero Among Thieves.
I was like,
Honor
surprisingly. I was like, this is part of the title.
No. It's not part of the title. But before we get to this review, y'all, Abe and Charlie, how y'all doing?
Good. Yeah.
Got the Sunday scaries already.
Mm-hmm. Hey, but we got a new HBO show.
HBO Sundays are back,
so we got something to look forward to.
Yes.
We're recording Succession right after this.
We are.
Yeah,
Yes.
So tune into that too.
Yes, we are.
Facts.
But y'all, wow, what a month for movies this for March, and also for the year. We've had, I think this month alone, it has been a record-breaking month for March in Hollywood.
Damn.
So it's been really good, and like I said, surprisingly, Dungeons and Dragons got a really good reception from the audience. So we decided to review this, and I just want to get right into it. Charlie, starting with you, what were some of your positives and negatives, and what would you rate this film?
Yeah, so going into this, like I saw the trailer originally, and I was like, this is going to be crap. And it wasn't. It wasn't crap. No. It's actually surprisingly entertaining. It's definitely like a popcorn flick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of weird, witty, crazy, but also heartfelt at times. So, yeah, I enjoyed myself. I'll say that. It was a good time. I do think the movie maybe was a little bit long for the style of movie that it was.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, I feel like, fits in the 90-minute movie category. Should have been within an hour 30, an hour 45, something like that. Would have been a sweet spot for it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's good.
Yeah, that's good. What would you rate this film?
I think I would give it like a fair 6.5, 7 or so.
Yeah.
It's
Pick
an
one.
enjoyable time.
Pick one.
All right, I'll give it a 6.5.
6.5. Yeah.
Just because I pushed it.
Yeah. 6.5 because like it. Yeah, like I said, it's not perfect, but it's a movie that's like, we have nothing else to do. Let's go kill some time. Boom. Let's watch it. It's an enjoyable experience. Have some popcorn, some soda. Done deal.
Yeah. Me?
Yes. Start with you.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything that Charlie said. Pretty simply, it's again, it's a popcorn flick. It's one of those movies that you look at the trailer and you're like, I'm probably not gonna watch this, but you saw the reception of it, and you saw like Rotten Tomatoes ratings and things, and you look at it and you're like, oh damn, like people are actually liking this movie. I wonder why. And I think that this is one of those films that Hollywood needs again, like this type of movie, where it's very like entertaining for the family. Anybody can go watch it probably, and you'll have a good time. So that was nice to see, because like it's been a while, I feel like, for me to go to a movie for that reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a popcorn movie. Because I feel like lately the people who go to the movies are like people who are diehard moviegoers, and now you see people at the movies again, just watching a casual film, just like this. So for that reason, I love it. I think it serves its purpose. And just like Charlie, I think that the cast was funny. They had good chemistry. It was written like smartly, in the sense where it was aware that it wasn't anything like super serious, but it still tried to give you like a compelling story, good development, and like characters that you actually like semi cared about, which was nice. And it was a fun adventure team up movie. Granted, like some of the silly stuff that we see in it, you can't take it too serious. You also have some like, not from an expert, you guys could probably tell me a little better, but not the greatest CGI, obviously, with like this kind of.
Yeah, there were moments where the CGI was good, and then there were moments where it was lesser. So
yeah,
but it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Which we can get into a little bit more, but yeah, I feel like it wasn't terrible. It was just like some things that you could clearly notice, and it's like, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all in all, I think I'm around the same range as Charlie. It's tough because like this movie is not like, it didn't do anything to like hurt my feelings. So like I don't have to be like, I'm not mad at it, but I also like in a week and a half, in 2 weeks, am I going to be thinking about this movie? That's where I'm looking. So probably around the 6.7 ish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's probably where I'm at.
Oh yeah. It was a fun time. I think coming in, that was my expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just have fun.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think for our viewers and listeners, just a heads up, we don't have, personally, me, I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons.
True.
I don't know the world. I don't know if it was a good adaptation or not. If you guys are, let us know. But from what I am understanding and what I've read, everyone who is a fan of Dungeons and Dragons are loving this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what this movie did well was cater to the dorky and the geeky side of Dungeons and Dragons. I can tell that. And they did it really well. And another thing I enjoyed was the chemistry of the cast. And moments where it wanted to be serious, it was serious. Moments where it wanted to be funny, you knew it was going to be funny. The beats of the story were done. It was solidly done. Like, it was super solid.
Yeah.
But moments, I think, where some characters didn't get as much development as others. It's hard in a team-up movie where you have to introduce all the characters, give them a good backstory, and then conclude them. At the end of the day, it's hard. I don't know if this is a franchise or not, but
Right.
in terms of first movie, some characters have, a better development. That's just the reality.
Mhm.
And I think when they were trying to give backstory to some characters, that's when I think it was dragging for me. There was moments where I was like, all right, we can hurry this up.
I think it was the second act.
Yeah.
First act, solid. Second act was like kind of slowing down. Third act, great.
Yeah.
Really good.
Um,
Really solid third act.
But like everyone said, it was a fun time, and I family, friends, you can take this, and I'm 100% sure everyone will have a good time. So I'd give this movie a 6.8. It's a good time.
Nice.
And I think everyone, like I said, would have a good time with it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, y'all, we're going to head to spoiler talk. Again, we don't know what this movie is about, but we want to talk about, not what this movie is about, Dungeons and Dragons and the whole world. That's what I mean. Sorry, excuse me, in terms of that aspect. But we're going to speak on this movie from a narrative standpoint. Charlie.
We now introduce the segment of this episode,
Spoiler time.
This section of our episode contains spoilers. Proceed with caution. We are not responsible for crying, complaining, whining, or any other side effect that may result from listening to this segment of the episode. If you believe you or a loved one is in danger of having this movie or show spoiled to you, stop now and immediately book your ticket for the next showing of this film.
All right. I want to get into the narrative side of the story. What specifically was not working for you narratively that you were like, or you thought was not working, or you were thinking like, maybe they could have, taken this out or made some adjustments here and there. Like Charlie brought up, the second act, I felt like dragged, and I was kind of like, all right, let's pick it up. For you specifically, what you thought about this movie from a narrative standpoint?
Honestly, the narrative standpoint, like, I didn't hate it. Like, I honestly thought like what they did with the entire narrative was simple enough. Like, you look at it, it's a band of thieves. They are in prison. Like, two thieves in specific are imprisoned for trying to steal something important. You get some backstory on why they want to steal that thing. The one thief, I think his name is Ed. He's trying to steal this tablet to bring his wife back to life, to give his daughter a family again, which I thought was compelling. And then him wanting to get back to that, right? And the duality of like, you're a thief, but you're bad, but you're a thief and you're doing it for good reasons. Kind of like the Robin Hood trope kind of thing. Not in the same way, but you know what I mean? In the sense of like, they're a good thief. They're not a bad thief. So I thought that plot was simple. I think that the tough thing with this movie is like, there was nothing it was pretty cut and dry. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything too complex. There wasn't like a ton of depth to the characters, but it didn't need to be. So that's why I think it worked for me, is because it knew exactly what it was and it tried to deliver that to you with some good messaging. But I do think, like what you guys were saying in terms of it dragging a little bit when they tried to do too much backstory on characters, I wanted to get that perspective from you guys, because I don't know if I can put my finger on an example off the top of my head.
There was a moment where they introduced what's his name? Simon, yes. Yeah. And they were going through him, and they had that side quest. I think that side quest could have been sped up a little bit.
What, the one where he was when they were doing the show?
No, not crossing the show. Is it Simon?
Simon's the sorcerer kid.
Simon's the sorcerer.
No, Shank. the
Jank.
the jank,
Okay, yeah, I
that
agree.
side quest.
I agree.
That what they had.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe they could have sped it up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. There were some points where I kind of shut my eyes because I was just like, okay, we can.
Honestly, yeah. You know what's interesting is like, of all the characters, I found him the least interesting
Yeah.
because I think that he was the most like perfect.
Mhm.
Because all the other ones had their like little flaws and like little things about them that you could be like, oh, they're a weird merry band of brothers, but then he's just like the perfect knight in shining armor kind of guy.
Mhm.
So then it kind of like, I don't know, I think that kind of unbalanced a little
That's
bit.
when we hit the middle, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Like, his main purpose of the story was to tell Ed to give when they get the riches, to give the riches to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think he served as the purpose, is just to provide that message to
He's
him.
an NPC. he's literally a real life NPC in this movie.
And I think maybe that's what they were going for.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
He was like he was a interesting use of comedic relief too, comic relief, like in a strange way, because he's like a very straight cut kind of person, doesn't really understand sarcasm or irony or any of that stuff. So I think they used those bits for some comic relief.
Do you think it worked?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it worked. Honestly, overall, the comedy in this movie like works.
It works. It's funny.
Yeah,
It's funny.
It's funny.
There's a couple of times in here where you actually might like belly laugh, like a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah,
And you're like,
for
damn.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Specifically when they're waking the dead people.
That one, yeah.
That
The
was
one
one of my
that-
favorite
that was-
scenes.
that
The
was a
one
funny
that
scene.
got me
It was
was
awesome.
when he was like projecting the version of Ed to like distract the guards who's singing the song. And
Oh,
his
yeah,
face
that one
starts
too.
warping because he
That
gets
was
his
awesome.
foot stuck and he's not concentrating on the spell. That one was like cracking everybody up.
That was funny.
Yeah.
That was definitely funny.
But yeah, I agree with you guys. I think that now that you mention it, it's funny because I'd forgotten about him.
See, I think what's happening with this movie is that I had a good time. It was a popcorn movie. I kind of already forgot about it.
Yeah, low key.
And it's not, again, it's like no disrespect.
I mean,
to
we watched it today.
Yeah, we watched it today. It's just like, it was a fun time.
Yeah.
We went to,
There's
it
a lot of
felt like
movies
we
like
just
that.
had a
So-
fun time with some
Yeah.
friends and we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's, and again, like I think that you need these movies.
Mhm.
You need these movies to be able to bring people to your house and host them, put something in the background. You need these movies to be able to like, oh guys, let's all go watch a movie. Like, what is there? Oh, this will be probably funny.
Mhm.
And it will be funny and you'll
Yeah.
laugh and you'll laugh about those specific scenes. And that's kind of the purpose of the film, right?
Mhm.
To us. And I want to also take a step back and say, like, I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody who's like, this is my favorite film.
Oh,
like,
no.
whatever.
Yeah,
If this
no.
is your vibe of a movie, you love Dungeons and Dragons, you love fantasy movies, you like team up movies, that's totally cool. I think that's probably separate from what like the three of us probably go to the theater for. But to say that we can still come out of this with an enjoyable experience, I think tells you what you need to know.
Yeah. I mean, I love fantasy, but there was even moments where some shots were reminding me of Lord of the Rings. And I was
Mhm.
like, ooh, especially when they're traveling,
Yeah.
those
They tried, you know what I mean?
those shots were exactly Lord of the Rings. I feel
Very
like
Lord of the
what they
Rings-esque.
did, I think surprisingly well for me, was the world building.
Mm-hmm.
I was very surprised at how well they were building this world and giving you backstory on how it all shapes. I was like, whoa, this is good.
it was good.
Solid.
They did a
Yeah.
good job with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, it's weird because this movie, like, I feel like you could commit to it one or two ways. Like, you could make it like completely satirical and like so funny that it doesn't take itself serious,
Yeah.
or you can lean into the narrative side and like the world that you built and be like, damn, there's actually something here that's like
Mhm.
pretty substantial. And I don't know if the fact that it sits on the line between those two things works in its favor or it
Mhm.
doesn't.
I think when they were going to the emotional side, it worked, especially at
agree.
the end when they save Olga.
Yeah.
And he gets
I
the
saw that coming from a
yeah.
mile away,
Obviously, we
though.
saw again. It's a predictable plot,
Yeah.
and we saw it coming. But when it happened, the execution was done well.
Yeah.
And I
Agreed.
think that's all. I think that's what matters is the execution and how you present it.
Mhm.
They presented it well, and they executed it well.
Yeah.
And
I thought this movie was going to be more because of like the satire and like the comedy elements of it. I thought it was going to be kind of like Your Highness. Have you seen that?
No.
I have not seen
It's from
it.
2011. It's with James Franco and
Oh, this sounds familiar.
Natalie Portman and some other like funny comedy guys from the back then.
Mm.
Yeah.
Kind of like a
And-
"This Is the End" type film. Like
yeah,
those
but
kind
it
of
takes
movies.
place in like folkloric like
Mhm.
fantasy world.
But that type of satire.
Right.
Mhm.
And it wasn't,
Yeah.
and I think the movie is better because it wasn't
Yeah.
like that.
That's true. Because I think we do see like a lot of team up films in the past where it's really just like you lean into the cast and like those funny people and like they tell their type of humor, and that's why people enjoy the movie. But this is like, you have that element where the cast is all individually funny and they're funny together, but there also is a story that you can, you know, you can enjoy.
My main issue though was the overall like main storyline that's going on in this is the father is trying to bring back the mother and join his family back together, right? And also save his daughter in the midst of the whole thing. But I don't feel like we got too much of the father-daughter like stuff for me to care too much about that storyline. Yeah. Because I'm seeing all the stuff that they're going through, like risking their lives and all that, and I'm like, it doesn't really feel like there's stakes here.
Yeah.
I think they tried to. Yeah. Okay. I think they tried doing it with some fat flashbacks and
they did
all this stuff. I think what they did well was the villain, Sophina, the other other side, and as to what her motives were. So I'm interested to see. I don't think she died. I think if this movie does well, they'll
do a sequel.
Oh no, this looks like they're trying to do a sequel.
Yeah, who knows? They might get better budgeting for it. They might make it bigger and whatnot. So who knows? Maybe this was just a little pilot to see.
It's a test the waters. I think that's what a lot of movies are doing now.
But I agree with you, Charlie, with the daughter dynamic, because like he in the movie in the beginning, I feel like we really just like see his daughter in the backstory that he's telling at the the court, and then you see her and you see that she's like upset with him, and then for the rest of the movie they're not together until the end, and it's like we didn't get enough of their relationship to really.
I think we should have gotten some scenes of her interacting with we only got one with the uncle. I forgot the uncle's name, but yeah, I feel like we only got one scene, so there was any development for the daughter. So again, Charlie's saying you don't really care.
Yeah.
But when you're united together, you're like, oh, happy family.
Nice.
Oh my God, they saved Olga. And you're like, you know what?
Cool.
Yeah.
100%.
I feel like if the movie really wanted to make that plot point hit hard, they should have started off, use the time that they wasted on the Jake thing, and use that to develop, the beginning of the story, why you should care about the father and the daughter. Everything, like what happened with the mother, because we kind of just get like quick glimpses, like, oh, the mother died, and then we find out later that she was killed.
And also like the daughter, not to say that she has to be like a princess locked away in a tower type thing, but like she really is not having a bad life. So it's kind of tough to feel bad.
But I was actually going to mention this, is the movie still does hit that classic overall like theme of prince rescuing a princess from the castle. It's very much that, but she's not trying to escape because she believes everything that her uncle is telling her, manipulating her with. So, but it does still have that overall throughout the movie.
Yeah, that is true. And you guys have anything else to add to this movie?
No, man.
If you like Chris Pine, he's great.
Yeah,
Chris Pine is
Chris Pine.
Yeah,
and
you know exactly what you're gonna get in those. And honestly, I don't think there's been a Chris Pine movie that I haven't like sat here and been like, damn, I hate Chris Pine in this movie. You know what I mean? He always just brings you exactly what you expect, and you like it.
He always delivers. Like, even though for the most part he's one of those actors that's like he plays Chris Pine in everything, it's still enjoyable.
I think the chemistry between him and Michelle was really good.
Yeah,
they had a good,
banter.
Yes, a great banter.
Yeah.
And when they wanted to get emotional, got emotional. Like I said, I'm just gonna keep saying it. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time. It's solid. It's a fun movie.
Indeed.
And y'all, we appreciate you guys listening to this episode. If you'd like to hit a like button and also subscribe and follow us. We love you guys and see you soon.
Peace.
For Succession.
Bye.